so we have to walk our bike down the road into China. Never a dull moment. How many boxes can we fit on a bike? This is hilarious. All right, we made it to China.
This week we rode from Laokai, or Hekou, to Kunming.
Yep, it's called Hekou on the Chinese side and Laokai on the Vietnamese side. I really wish every single country does this, and every single time we cross the border, I always wish that the two countries could just decide on one freaking name for their border town. Because it's really annoying to be like, we're going to this town or this town, what's it called? You cross the border and then it's called something different. Very confusing.
That border, it really is two whole different societies. They're not anywhere near the same place.
Welcome to China, where a four-lane road is actually the side road. Who knew? Looks like we were on a highway to me. So we spent the first 2 days riding along this really pretty river valley. I think, was it called the Red River? It was Honghe, right? In Chinese?
Yeah, it might have been Honghe.
Yeah, well, we'll just say the Red River for lack of a better remembering. So riding along this river valley, it was really gorgeous, just kind of like rolling up and down along the river until we got to Yunnan. My rock. Justin's wet rock.
Proof that Justin works much harder.
Bullshit. It's proof that Justin sweats a lot more, and that is all. We left the bikes at a hotel and actually took it ended up being a taxi. We thought we were going to take a bus, but there are no buses, so if you go to see the Yunnan rice terraces, just know you do not need to walk into the bus station. You just take all the taxis and vans that are set up right outside the bus station in Yunnan town. And we spent one night up there?
Yeah. One night.
Yeah. So we spent a night up there and explored. It was a gorgeous place. There's a whole other video about that. But just so there was a break in our riding. We rode 2 days to Yunnan and then took a rest day. I guess two rest days. Yeah. 2 rest days at the rice terraces. And then we continued on to Kunming. We just left Nansha, or Yuanyang town. Headed up the big climb now towards Kunming. Got about 1,700 meters and 40 kilometers to go. So it's gonna be a long one today. Here we go.
Leaving Yuanyang, we had the largest climb of the trip so far. It's about 1,800 meters. And it was miserable on the way up. It was really, really hot and I was sweating really bad.
It was a nice climb though, like gradient wise. Like it was very
Right.
reasonable.
Right, but I ran out of water less than halfway up the climb.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm not going to make it up this climb without
It was like
stopping for
raining
water.
sweat.
And so we stopped and filtered water out of some guy's tap.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't so bad because another 150 meters vertical up the road, we got into a classic Chinese traffic jam. The Chinese know how to do traffic jams better than anybody else. They can create them in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Absolute middle of nowhere. And you come up and it's just miles and miles of people parked on the side of the road. Everybody stops, turns their car off, hangs out. Some of them have picnics.
Oh yeah.
Like, it's ridiculous.
That was hilarious. So basically what had happened was there were all of these ginormous construction trucks trying to pass each other, and the road wasn't wide enough for two of those trucks to pass at the same time.
No, it was wide enough, but you only had about this much space
Yeah.
to pass.
Yeah, I mean, there wasn't, usually in these kind of traffic jams, it's good for us to be on a bike because we can just kind of like weave through it. But this one was like, there was literally about like 6 inches of space in between the trucks. Like, you couldn't even walk through it. Well, this is not the first truck traffic jam we've experienced bike touring in China, but it's still pretty impressive. Quite the line of trucks trying to pass each other. And we're moving. Sat there for maybe like 10 minutes. Sorry, Justin says 20 minutes, letting all those trucks pass each other. Of course, now they all have to come past us. Oh yeah, they're stopped again up here too. Such a tiny little gap. So we've only got 400 more meters of climbing to go, but progress seems to be stalled for the moment. Yeah, we're not gonna make it there very fast at this rate. All right, finally some clear road. Let's see how long it lasts. So with all the traffic jams and the 1,800 meters we had to climb up, it took us, what, like 6 hours to get to the top?
I don't even remember. It was a bunch of hours to get to the top.
I think it was close to 6 hours to reach the peak.
Yeah, and then we rode another 2+ hours, 3 hours after the top down. Stopped in a nice town, had our first wonderful bowl of cold noodles.
Yeah, that's where we discovered the magic of liangmian, which is cold noodles, which they do completely differently in Yunnan and Sichuan than we've ever had them before.
I put this nice route together going around the lakes. Our warm showers host in Kunming said, you should go around the lake.
Yeah, around Fuxian Lake
it's
specifically.
Beautiful. And so we go around this first lake to this next lake, and it's the absolute worst road I've ever ridden on. And I've ridden on roads that are completely unacceptable for bike riding, like logging roads with big 4 or 6 inch boulders going down them. And this thing was worse than that. It was a concrete road, except all the rebar holding it together, I guess, had rusted apart and fallen away, and so it was just angled all over the place. And then there were sections where it looked like they had just glued rocks into the ground vertically over and over and over, and you were just riding over pointy rocks.
Yeah.
I really don't understand how anybody could think that's an acceptable solution to a road. And this went by the military, this went by government buildings.
Yeah.
They knew this was a problem, and they just left it there.
Yeah. That was ridiculous. And that went on for what, like 10 kilometers?
Yeah, it was 10 or 15K, and before the super, super crappy road, they had just torn up the whole road.
And just left it like that.
Yeah, they take basically saw blades and just saw up the whole road in preparation for something.
Yeah.
But the Chinese tend to just leave it like that and not repave it.
Basically, what our warm shower host in Kunming neglected to tell us was which side of the lake to ride by. Because when we got there and told her how bad the roads were along this side of the lake, which was the west side of the lake, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was the east side of the tiny lake and the west side of the big Fuxian Lake. And along Fuxian Lake, like, there were hardly any views of the lake. Like, the road didn't really go right next to the lake for very long at all.
Yeah.
So when we told her about this, she was like, oh, yeah, I haven't actually ridden that side of the lake, but the east side of the lake is really beautiful. We're like, yeah, you neglected to mention that. We just took like the straightest route to Kunming that went by the lake, which happened to be the west side of the lake.
Yeah, we rode past 50% of the whole lake, and it was all pretty much not very interesting.
Yeah, and the roads weren't very good. Even once we got past that 10-kilometer section of horrible road, the roads still were in bad condition. I mean, for going past such a tourist spot like Fuxian Lake is, like, you would think that they would maintain the road a little better, but it was just not that fun.
No, it was a bad day on the bike for us. The roads were bad and just not very fun.
Yeah, I mean, at one point, Justin, like, asked me, he goes, is the trailer still there? Like, as we're riding over, like, all these crappy roads. But it made it just fine. It just was really bumpy and not very fun.
Yeah, our Bike Friday trailer has been holding up great.
Yeah, so far so good.
Knock on wood.
Yeah, knock on wood. Hopefully it stays that way for the rest of the trip.
Yeah.
Well, that was a new one. Misting the air. Anyone got any guesses? And leaving Chengjiang, we rode, what, like 30 kilometers through Kunming? Like, from the southern outskirts of Kunming.
Yeah.
Into, like, our warm showers host was located on the northern side of the city. And
it was fine.
no.
Completely fine.
No. It reminded me exactly why I hated riding my bike in China when we lived there. It's just not fun. Like, riding through a Chinese city, they're just so big. Everybody's, like, weaving in and out, trying to cut you off. Cars are driving they have these nice wide bike lanes, but the unfortunate part is that they're wide enough for cars. So there's cars driving in them. There's cars pulling out of parking lots through the bike lane, having no respect for you whatsoever.
Basically, it's the same as riding in a big city anywhere in the world. They all pretty much suck.
They do all pretty much suck, but the Chinese cities are just worse to me. I don't know why. It makes me really stressed and anxious, like, even on the back of the tandem.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just not fun. But eventually we made it. No problem.